Good morning. Welcome to Storytime at Eckhart Public Library. I'm Miss Karen, and if you've been watching the last 6 weeks, I don't look like the other Miss Karen. There are two of us who work here named Karen. So today on February 22nd, or on the calendar, sometimes that's written as 2/22, and since the year is 2022, it's 2/22/22, and we're going to talk about two-ths, teeth. Let's start with our welcome song. Hello, friends. Hello, friends. Hello, friends. It's time to say hello. So today, our letter is T. There. Now you can see it. We have a big T and a little t. And T is for tooth. You want to join me in the more we get together? The more we get together, the more we get together, the happier we'll be. For your friends are my friends, and my friends are your friends. The more we get together, the happier we'll be. The more we read together, the more we read together, the happier we'll be. We'll read big books and small books. We'll read tall books and little books. The more we read together, the happier we'll be. So here we are, back with our letter T. The big T for tooth and the little t for tooth. What do you already know about teeth? Did you know that tooth enamel, right there, that is the hardest bone in your body? It's harder than the bones in your arms or your legs. And that white part that goes over, it's called enamel, and it lasts forever. It keeps the inside of your tooth safe, and you have to brush it. So make sure it stays clean and that your teeth can keep lasting. And did you know that even before you were born, you had teeth growing in your mouth? People do. And when you're about kindergarten, first grade, or second grade, those teeth in your mouth are going to fall out and you're going to grow new ones. Because when you're a baby, you only have 20 teeth. But when you're a grown-up and you get your big kid teeth, you have 32 of those. That's a lot of teeth in your mouth. Everybody's teeth are different. They're like fingerprints. No two people in the world have identical teeth. I didn't know that before this either. All right, I'm going to move the letters T. Have you ever heard of the tooth fairy? When you lose a tooth, the story goes, you put it under your pillow. Or maybe under that pillow. Or 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 that pillow. Do you see the toothpick sticking out? Well, here's our tooth fairy. Look and see, look and see. Can you find the tooth for me? Is it under? And you know it is under the red pillow because you saw it go there. Now, let's see. What do you suppose the tooth fairy's going to do this time? It's going to end up under one of these colors, but do you know which one? Let's see what we've got here. All right, here are all the pillows again. Look and see, look and see. Can you find a tooth for me? Is it under the... It's not under the red pillow anymore. Where do you suppose it could be? Pink? Not there. We're going to slide these off to the side. How about under the purple pillow? No tooth there. Tooth fairy, where did you put the tooth? I know, you're looking for it. Maybe it's under a green pillow. Not there. Under the blue one? Not there. Which one do you think it's under? There's 3 pillows. There's yellow. Is it there? There's light green. Is it there? And there's orange. What do you think, Tooth Fairy? Tooth Fairy says orange. Let's see. Look at that, Tooth Fairy. You found it. You're a good tooth finder, which is good because that's your job. Well, while we have the tradition of giving our teeth to the Tooth Fairy, in other countries, it's not a tooth fairy, it's a little mouse called Rotuncito Perez. And this story comes from Spain. But if you talk to kids in South America or Central America, they will tell you about Rotuncito Perez too. That's the story they know best. So this is the story of Rotuncito, which just is the Spanish word for little mouse, Perez, and that's his name. Once upon a time in Spain, there lived a prince called Bobby the First. He was 8 years old, and one day, while he was eating, one of his teeth began to wobble. There was a great fuss. But while the prince was busy making a face, he wiggled the tooth out, and it popped right out. Do you see it right there in his hand? Bubby's mother, who was a very wise queen, said that the prince should write a polite letter and put it with the tooth under his pillow that night so that Rotuncito Perez would come. Because you can't just leave the tooth. You also have to write a letter to Rotuncito. Prince Bubby didn't much like writing letters, but he used his markers and he wrote the letter with lots of colors. And he only inked all of his fingers, the tip of his nose, his left ear, his right shoe, and his shirt. Does that ever happen to you when you use markers? He went to bed very early that evening, and he asked that all the lights be left on. He put the letter and the tooth under his pillow right there. Bubby was determined to stay awake to see Rotuncito Perez, even if he had to wait all night. Perez was a long time coming. And the little boy, even though he was a prince, he was a little boy. He slipped down under the blanket and fell asleep. After a while, he felt something very soft just tickling him on his forehead, and it woke him up very quickly. And who do you think was in front of him? Standing on his pillow was a tiny little mouse with a backpack. Prince Bubby stared at him, and Perez, seeing that His Majesty was awake, took off his hat and made a very low bow. They talked a long time. The prince asked if he could see where Perez and his family lived. Rotuncito Perez jumped upon the prince's shoulder and put the tip of his tail right on the end of His Majesty's nose. And then the most wonderful thing happened. The prince sneezed very hard. Achoo! He turned into a little mouse. He's a mouse prince. Rotuncito Perez lived underneath a grocer's shop near a big pile of cheeses. What a wonderful place to live if you're a mouse. The cheeses supplied his whole family with breakfast, lunch, dinner. Perez introduced Prince Bubby to his family as a visitor from Madrid. Bubby would have liked to stay visiting with the Mouth family, but Perez said he had a job to do. There were more teeth to collect that night. Bubby asked, "Can I come with?" At the next house, they met their first danger. Don Pedro the Cat. Oh no! Because remember, Perez is a little mouse, and now Bubby is a little mouse prince. Oh no, what's going to happen with Don Pedro the Cat? He looks kind of suspicious. But Perez was very experienced around cats. He showed Bubby how to cautiously dart out of a mouse hole, hide behind furniture, and scamper into the next room, all the way so they were protected from Don Pedro. In the next room, they found a little boy named Giles, who had also lost his first tooth. Perez carefully climbed under Giles' pillow, slipped out a letter and the tooth, and he left a large coin. Giles' home was very different from the palace where Bubby lived, and it was the first time that Prince Bubby realized that not everyone lived in the same kind of house or lived the same way he did. Once they were outside, Rotuncito Perez once again put his tail on Bubby's nose and made him achoo! Sneeze, turning him back into a boy. When Prince Bubby woke up, he was in his own bed. He thought maybe the whole thing had just been a dream. But when he put his hand under the pillow, the tooth and the letter were gone. And do you see it? There was a large coin. And that is the story of Rotuncito Perez and how he helped Prince Bubby through losing his first tooth. The story was written in Spain, and it was written for a little boy who actually was a prince who was really upset the first time he lost a tooth. And so the story went from being just a story of one little boy losing his tooth becoming an explanation of how all the teeth are taken care of when kids lose their teeth. Have you ever lost one of your teeth yet? Are you excited to lose a tooth? Are you kind of scared to lose a tooth? I bet if you talk to the grown-ups in your family, they can tell you stories about losing a tooth when they were a kid. I remember when I was in second grade, I had a very loose tooth and it popped out right on my desk, right in the middle of class. And I didn't know what to do. And my teacher she just came right up and she said, "Would you like a Kleenex?" And she wrapped my tooth up in a Kleenex and she had me stick it in my pocket. And that was that. And when I went home, I was able to give it to the tooth fairy and I got my coin that night. So we are going to say our goodbye song, and I'll see you next week. Goodbye, friends. Goodbye, friends. Goodbye, friends. It's time to say goodbye. See you next week at Storytime. Bye. Thanks for coming.